Hi and welcome to another Free.volous episode. Today we're going to do another Free.volous takes, which is where I just comment on new announcements or releases about makeup and beauty stuff. And yeah, let's jump into it. We have a lot to talk about because I don't do these frequently. So it's been a good while since I did one of these, and I'm gonna go way back, talk about launches that aren't that recent. But to be honest, as a normal consumer, I don't usually immediately jump on everything that is launched. So things that kind of stayed in my list that I still want to talk about become a bit more relevant because they kind of left a more permanent mark than some others. But anyway, let's jump right in. The first thing I want to talk about is the not new, but NYX Lip IV Hydrating Gloss Serums. I was expecting to find these when I went to London in January, and sadly they weren't there because I really wanted to try these because these are basically glossy lip tints and I wanted to see how they perform. And I'm fairly interested in a few shades, although I have these in different iterations from rom&nd and Tony Moly, which are some of my all-time favorite brands for this kind of product. But I wanted to see, now that they kind of are peeking into the Western world, I wanted to see these formulas. And NYX usually doesn't disappoint me that much, so it's affordable. I want to give these a try. I haven't been able to find them. The shades that I want are basically sold out at Beauty Bay at this moment, so I'll have to wait. Now, here's a shout out. I've been a very good girl. I've not been purchasing eyeshadow palettes, but there's been a few that have caught my eye. This is a shout out to Agnieszka or Anielika Nyqvist. She came out with her own brand, Singe Beauty, which had basically tools, mostly brushes. Now she came out with blushes, of which I have one now. Love them, just so you know. And then she came out with an eyeshadow palette called the Galactic Visitor Palette. And this is still available. I think you can get Singe Beauty in Europe through Monolith, which is great to know. And this is a really cute palette. There are some shades here that I wouldn't wear, and that made me take a bit of a step back. It's not extremely expensive, $45. I think it will be about 40 euros in Europe or something. But I controlled myself. There are a few shades here that I find absolutely fabulous. The very light, pale, almost vanilla-y yellow, the pastel peach, the burgundy, the mustard yellow is gorgeous. The more bold peach that she has here are all incredible colors. I would fuss around with that very shimmery, impactful blue, but then the more cool toned colors and then these green minty shades I'm not gonna play with. So all in all, I decided against buying it, not because I think it will be a bad product. I think Anielika is one of those people who has reviewed indie shadows for a long time. She knows what she's talking about, and I believe that she will have that kind of commitment when formulating. But yeah, this was just really interesting and endearing, and I didn't get the eyeshadow palette, but way to go, Angie. I really like her channel, to be honest. I don't know her personally or anything. I don't know anything about the person, but I like the persona. Anyway, this is one of those things where, if you know me, I'm about performance on products above everything else, and everything else comes secondary. But this packaging was screaming my name, and I had to control myself because I know nothing about this brand. I haven't seen not even sponsored content about it. But the packaging is delightful, and I was so tempted to buy it just because the packaging is cute. This is from a brand called Glowery. Yeah, Glowery. The account on Instagram is Hello Glowery, and they have a bunch of skincare products. It's just the packaging is so beautiful, so delightful, and it's kind of an adult. What's the name of the brand? Glow Recipe. For me, this is kind of an adult but still playful glow recipe, and I thought that this was just beautiful, and I wanted to give you pretty pictures for you to look at with me because I thought this was delightful. Now, around the holidays, there were a few launches that I was super interested in, and again, I had to control myself not to buy some palettes. This was one of them. It was the Cosmic Brushes or Cosmic Beauty 'Tis the Season palette. And if you don't know me, I don't dabble too much with greens, especially very bluey greens, very bright. We call it lettuce greens and grass greens. It's not my cup of tea. But there's a couple of greens there that are close to chartreuse. I can dabble with that. But the rows below that green row are just, I don't know if they still have this on their website, to be honest. I don't know if they just did the limited edition and it's not available anymore. I don't know anything. I just think that this is one of those that stuck with me because the color selection from this palette is absolutely gorgeous, and I wholeheartedly trust Cosmic Beauty. I have 3 palettes from them. I've been a good girl, I haven't bought any more, and I really love their formulas. I think they're very fairly priced. They have increased their prices, but still very fairly priced. And this, except for that first row on the top, just screamed my name because you have the lavender, the pastel lavender and the pastel pink, but then you have a very strong orchid color and a very bold, almost fuchsia. You have a red, you have what seems to be a shimmery tangerine color, which I could fuss with. It's just gorgeous, gorgeous. And maybe someday, if I have more money, I will dabble into it. But anyway, next up, these I got in London. They were there. And these are the Maybelline Superstay Teddy Tint Long Lasting Matte Lip Tint. Jesus, what a mouthful. When I saw this advertised, I don't know if that made the cut on my previous Free.volous takes, but I thought this was going to be close to the, what's your name, Kaleidos Cloud Lab lip paints. I think that's how they call them. It's a liquid lipstick that feels very plush and almost whipped in terms of formula on the lips. It doesn't stain, or it doesn't set on the lips and doesn't not budge. It does move around, and it feels like a creamy lipstick almost, but in a very lightweight formula. They're very opaque. You can build them out, but the thing that makes them stand out is the fact that it looks really blurring on the lips, and I have very lined lips, so when I want to go for something a bit more matte, I like something that is a bit blurring without feeling too silicone slippery. So those are my, kind of standard. And I thought these would be an iteration of that. Not quite. These are a thin liquid lipstick kind of feeling, classic liquid lipstick, and they do sit. You can build them up. They're fairly blurring, but not anything to write home about, I think. But the thing is, they stay a bit sticky. And I know the vinyl stains, the one that stay glossy, they do stay a bit sticky, but that comes with the game, because they have to stay glossy. But these, they felt unnecessarily sticky for the finish that they provided, which is very close to a classic matte liquid lipstick. Maybe the fact that it can be used in a very thin layer is cool and it's a bit different, but other than that, they're nice, don't get me wrong, but if you can't stand the sticking of your lips, this is not for you. And then e.l.f. This was another one I was hoping to find in London, but it was either sold out or hadn't launched there. They came out with bronzers and contours in their camo formula, which I love, with the blushes. I was going to say the brushes. I love that that blush formula, and I think this will be an amazing both contoury for some shades and bronzery for some other shades kind of formula. I think it's a great idea. They expanded the blush range also. Couldn't find the lilac-y blush either, but anyway. Now it's on trend, everybody wants it. When I wanted it and I was alone in the world, There was none to be found. But anyway, these sound really amazing and a bit more opaque, of course, off the bat than the Makeup by Mario liquid bronzer, which I do have, I do love. But wanting something a bit quicker to apply, just blend it out a bit, and having that bit more color payoff off the bat, I think these would be better. Now, this was a deep dive and a disappointment for me at the end of the day. If you don't know me, I have a few standard favorites with Paula's Choice. And over the years, I just go to the website, I go straight to the product that I want, I click on buy, and I have it shipped to me, and I don't look twice. This release caught my eye. It's the Pro Collagen Peptide Plumping Moisturizer. This sounded amazing. It is a gel formula, which although I have oily skin, most gels do tend to pill on me. But then I went to London, and at Space NK, I found it and I tried it on my hand, and the formula seemed divine. And I was kind of like, when I get home and I save up for next month, maybe I'll order this. And I went onto the website later on to read more about it and all those things. I love the idea of peptide moisturizer. I love the idea of a gel cream formula because it's more lightweight. I went to read about it, and then I realized Paula's Choice is no longer the Paula's Choice that I knew, and that made me trust it so much. They were so pro-science. Before The Ordinary, they were the ones that were kind of trying to teach you the basics about ingredients and about formulation and how things happen inside a pot, you know. They had Beautypedia, which they talked about loads of products, not just their own, and they didn't trash everybody else just to amp themselves up. And it was a really nice source at the time, and it was one of the few that was very science-driven and science-based, without any of that mumbo-jumbo that you see going around. The prices increased, but I stayed with the brand, as I said, just buying my essentials, not playing with anything too new, because it started to get more and more expensive. But I forgave them for it because, again, science-based, science-backed, and that formulas work really well for me. And now when I read it on the website, I just was attacked by a flurry of senseless fear-mongering, the free of parabens, the free of this, free of toxic and chemicals and whatever, that kind of chit-chat, and I was so disappointed. And just a few days later, I saw that James Welsh did a deep dive on this brand, and he mentioned the things that I talked to you about, and he goes way deeper into it. It's kind of the downfall of Paula's Choice for me and for a whole generation of people who still do believe in science above everything else. And, you know, this clean beauty scam is a scam, and it's marketing driven, making you be afraid of things that you're not supposed to be afraid of, just so that you buy their product instead of something else. And if some product doesn't claim to be clean, you're supposed to feel afraid of it, and it's wrong. Everything is regulated, at least where we live here in Europe. Everything is regulated, and most big brands obey those rules. And it's so sad to see that what started as a fringe kind of movement, and I got caught into it at first when it started, but then I started watching Caroline Harns and things went back to its place. But for a while I was fearmongered too. I'm not above everything, but I thought it would be a fluke, and that, you know, science is disproving, science communicators are coming out and telling you that this is not the correct interpretation and this is a scam, and people will realize. But sadly, what's been happening is that brands don't want to be put aside by the trend, so they take on the trend and they become liars themselves to scam people into what is probably an amazing formula. And many clean beauty brands have amazing formulas, they just don't need the clean beauty claims to stand on their own 2 feet. And this is a downfall that really saddened me. It was such a disappointment. I'll have to cool it off before I make a decision, but I was so sad. Next one I do have, I bought it in London. Again, I always say, oh, London, but it's a place where you can go and find drugstore stuff in the array of colors that they do have, instead of just a few select products, and you can get swatches. It's very rare for me in Portugal to find that. This is the Halo Glow Powder Filter. A light buildable ultrafine press setting powder that blurs the appearance of skin, reduces shine and sets makeup for a soft focused glow that lasts. I can say that this is true. It's closer to a powder foundation though, so it has a bit of coverage. If you don't like that, you're not going to like this. It does have a bit of kick up, but hey ho, Kosas also has a bit of kick up. I love that powder, don't get me wrong, it's just letting you know. And yeah, I really like it. I don't use it every day though, when now the warm weather is coming back, so I'll probably start carrying that in my purse and using it more than I'm using it now. The only downside with this for me is the shade range. They have really weirdly highly saturated undertones in some colors, which I'm within the light medium to medium spectrum depending on the brand. And it's also always quite difficult to find a match for me. I was fine, but oh, when I saw this back in the days of yore, when I was collecting these products to talk to you about, I was so enraged. So Isomaya, not Isomaya. I feel that the temptation to say Isomaya, that's not how it's said. It's said Isomaya Beauty created makeup wipes, which she calls cleansing cloths, but are disposable, and a big can, beautiful can, and she was selling them for $145. I don't know if it's still up on her website, because recently, and we can skip on to that, she just rebranded basically. She was so adamant on being edgy and almost confrontational in the way how she approached the design of her products. The club people were all behind her because of that edginess. And then she got invited to go into Sephora, or the other way around, we don't know, and she cleared up her act. And now everything is so surgical and aseptic. And I must say, there is a midway, a midpoint between these two positions, and I don't understand, because I always felt like, you know, the penile lipsticks and all that, it felt a bit contrived to me. It didn't feel that genuine, but it's okay. It's a selling point, I guess. Everything was a bit above my price point, so I never tried anything from her. I really wanted to try the black gloss, but you know, K-beauty and indie makeup takes care of that. But yeah, it's an interesting turn of events. Let's say that now all of the makeup that she released on Sephora is very bland, is very beige. There's a bit of a vague reference to cosmetic surgery because that is acceptable for rich white ladies, isn't it? But other than that, it's just so basic, and it would be understandable that she would release basic things, you know, get your basics done with Isomaya, and then get your very fun stuff too from us. I love that kind of thing. I love, you know, very... Today I'm wearing, it's not the edgy Isomaya kind of look, but I have, you know, a very basic face, foundation, not too heavy, not too... glam. I just covered whatever needed coverage, and then I have red eyeshadow, for instance, and I like to play with glitters on the daily also. I like a brown lip, I like a black lip, I even like some blue lips. So I like that aesthetic, starting with a very basic thing and then building up with some points of interest. But for me, it doesn't add up what she's selling on Sephora, and then she has some stuff on her website, I think, but it's closed off to subscribers. I don't know how that works. I haven't dug that deeply, but it just feels so contrived and so money grabbing, in my opinion. I may be wrong. I'm sure her products are nice. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about her placement, her marketing placement, her branding now feels even more contrived than it felt when she started releasing stuff, where it felt very intense. And are you doing that because you are intense or because you're trying to stand out? And then she did a 180 when she wanted to get into Sephora, and it felt even more that wasn't her real thing. And it kind of is a disappointment also, I think, for the people who started following her and buying her stuff, very expensive stuff, and that supported her because they felt seen in a way, and it felt like they could relate with this brand in a way they can relate with others, which I totally understand. And then when she moves into Sephora, bye, don't need you anymore. I don't know, it feels weird. Maybe completely wrong. You can argue with me calmly in the comments. The world is burning. This is not looking good. So chill, it's just makeup, okay? Anyway, moving on. This caught my eye, the Milani Conceal and Perfect Blur Out Skin Tint Stick. It's coming for Fenty's wig, I guess. From what I've seen, it's very similar in terms of what it offers. It's a soft filter. A buildable light to medium coverage skin tint with a natural soft matte second skin finish. It sounds very similar. Ultra lightweight silky formula, melts into the skin, buildable light to medium coverage, perfect for no makeup, nice, natural soft matte blurred finish for a second skin look. And then muru butter and stuff like that. It sounds nice. I don't know if this is a bit more greasy than the Fenty, which I adore. I adore sticks. I adore stick foundations. That's what I meant. I adore stick foundations. Don't get me wrong, but they need to have the good ratio, a good ratio of greasiness and emolliency versus staying on my skin and not feeling like I want to rip my face off. I don't know how it performs. And sadly, the only website that sold most of Milani's stuff, which is Beauty Bay, no longer carries Milani. Oh, I hate when that happens. The other one is Maquillalia, I think, but it's a more Iberian reseller and they don't have these things. So as a huge fan in 2016 maybe of the Conceal and Perfect Original Liquid Foundation, which was very high coverage, and they were coming for Clinique's wig at the time, I'm curious about this one and I'm sad I can't try it. Now, do I have any viewers in the US that are maybe visiting Lisbon soon? I don't follow Sabrina Carpenter's kind of career, the type of music. It's not my type of music. All the respect to her though. I don't like this aesthetic, but she released a coffee smelling perfume. I think I need it. Is anybody available to help me? Because I went on the website and it's not, they don't sell internationally. This is the Sweet Tooth Me Espresso. The notes are supposedly espresso, cappuccino, cocoa, night blooming, jasmine. That's the one that I'm a bit more afraid of. Vanilla orchid, biscuit, caramel, sugar, amber, and cream. Cream, I love creamy notes. I would love to try this. If you know of somewhere in Europe where this is available or similar smelling kind of scents, let me know. I love a coffee kind of perfume. Now let's jump into influencers bad-mouthing a product that they know wasn't meant for them, but they still bad-mouth it when it doesn't work for them. I'm talking about the Urban Decay Face Bond Luminizer Waterproof Glow Drops for Face and Body. This was clearly made to go with a face bond foundation, which is in itself, it wasn't well marketed. It said all skin types. I see people with dry skin struggling with it, which is logical to a point because it says it has soft matte finish and it's very long wearing. Those two things usually don't agree very well with very dry skins, but you can give it a shot, of course. But then after everybody knowing what the Face Bond foundation was about, they came out with these luminizing drops to mix in with the foundation to use under it. And people with dry skin went and bought these. And I was kind of like, that is probably still meant for oily skin. And it's fine. You decide to try it regardless. Sometimes you try something that is not for your skin type and it works out amazingly. But when it didn't work out for them, they bad-mouthed the instead of, I've seen so many people, instead of saying, listen, this is not for me, maybe this works for somebody else, it was, this is trash. And I was kind of like, where is nuance? Where did it go? And it's so weird. I think this is very quickly self-setting, which is a downside. Urban Decay doesn't sell in Portugal anymore. They left right before they came out with the Face Bond foundation. They had the reappearance or resurgement of the Moondust eyeshadows, but they left the building right before that. So I can't easily have access to it. I'm not going to risk buying it online and it not going well for me, because it's not the type of product that I go through very quickly. And for a self-setting luminizer, I prefer the Lisa Eldridge one. And for a not self-setting one, I love the e.l.f. Halo Glow one. So I love the idea of having something a bit more luminous to mix with the foundation, the Face Bond. But I'm not going to try it. I was just, come on. And this looks a bit too shimmery. And I could understand if people would say, oh, this looks very metallic on the face, is a bit too, I don't know, 2017 or something. But other than that, come on, be reasonable. Next up, I have it. It's the Mob Beauty and Courtney Quarantine Grunge Core palette, and it's this one here. I have been preparing a full face of Mob Beauty for months. I bought the base products last year, and I haven't been able to sit down and film that full face of Mob Beauty. And then I saw, I don't know, 2 or 3 influencers coming out with a full face of Mob Beauty recently. Maybe they paid them, I don't know, it's a sponsored thing, but I felt like, I'm not going to be the only one doing it, so I'm giving it a bit more time. If you're interested in Mob Beauty, let me know. I love loads of things within the concept of the brand. They have the clean beauty thing that I'm gonna ignore, or else I can't buy makeup anymore. But this quad of eyeshadows was giving me Candeur et Expérience from Chanel, that red and brown palette that came out many years ago, and it still exists, I think, but in a more grungy kind of vibe, and with a cream clay eyeshadow, which I really like. I'm wearing this today. Lightly applied on the lids. I'm testing it as is with just a bit of setting powder, and I had to have this. I love this kind of color story, browns and reds, yes. And I was very interested in this matte brown because it looked very, very cutesy and very up my alley in terms of undertone, and it is very much so. I'm gonna just swatch you a couple of shades now that I'm here. And Courtney Quarantine, I didn't know her, and I fell in love with her and her aesthetic. It's not me, of course, it's not my aesthetic, but you can always take out product recommendations from people that are completely different in style to you, or different from you, different to you. Who am I? But these are the 4 shades. This is the cream clay. I just wish this was more true red and a bit less cranberry with pink reflections, but it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful, my friends. I am really chuffed with this little quad. I get the Mob Beauty through Beautylish, in case you're wondering. Super chuffed, very high quality, very easy to wear and blend eyeshadows. I know the cream clay eyeshadows will be the ones that will draw people in, but actually the matte eyeshadows are so good. So the problem with them is the swatches. To be honest, they have terrible swatches. So if you can see some, influencers who have swatches of the products, maybe go from there. And the names of the shadows are so confusing, and this and that. But yeah, I got to know that Courtney Quarantine exists, and I really enjoy her kind of aesthetic. And she has some amazing product recommendations sometimes. She has great energy. She's a bit fear-mongered by Clean Beauty, but she's young. I hope she'll snap out of it. But yeah, this was a great purchase. Now, I was so worried about this one that as soon as I ran out of my Ole Henriksen peptide peptide, the lip balm, I ran to Sephora and got Too Faced, the new balms they called it, the new pillow balms. I was so afraid that this was a reformulation. They have some colors, they don't have others. They supposedly still have the banana one. I can find it at my local Sephora. I don't know what's up with that. But I got the chocolate one. It's divine. It still feels amazing. It's still super plushy on the lips. It's still very, very slightly minty, almost just the scent more so than any feeling on the lips. So I'm very happy to let you know that if you are a fan of the lip balms, of the pillow balms from Too Faced, if this was a reformulation, you will not feel too much of a difference on your lips. Nothing that I could pinpoint, to be honest. They have different colors and different packaging right now. That's all I can say. I was super concerned, but that's nice. Now, on to the segment of influencers trying stuff that is not for their skin tone. And let's talk about the Ube release from Huda Beauty. First off, I have the blusher, the Ube Cream. Beautiful, beautiful. And I think it spreads along a huge range of skin tones. But then Huda released the goddamn setting powder in the Ube shade. And she said for who it is. And she also had some, charts showing you who is this for. And then she sent the powder to very white influencers, and the ones that didn't get it went out and bought it, and then they said it looks too pink on their face. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Come on, girls. Brain cells. Anyway, I love the Huda Beauty setting powder. It's one of my all-time favorites. If Ube is a great color correcting shade for you, go check it out. Now, this was a fun release, and I'm so happy to see that MAC came out with some of their old school, cool-toned, nudie, beigey, and brownie colors, and they added a bunch of new nudie, beigey, greigey colors. And I'm so happy to see this. I think MAC is gaining a bit more hype. I think Erin Parsons has a bit to do with that. Don't you? Follow her if you don't. She's amazing. And I was so happy to see these colors. It's a throwback for me. I've been on the hunt for a very pale nude lip for as long as I can remember. Everything is either too pink or just too peach and warm. And I feel like going into a MAC store and try these old school shades, because when these were around, MAC was too expensive for me, so I never got anything from them, and then they slowly got discontinued. And I love that these colors are doing a comeback. Just so you know, if you're doing a nudie lip and you're wearing that shade that Angelina Jolie wore in the 90s, it's dabbed, it's not scrubbed on your lips. Just a hint. Lethal Cosmetics came out with, which is probably one of the best collabs of the year. It's a collab with Dexter. Every product is so well thought out in terms of the packaging and making it look thematic. I loved seeing this. I didn't get anything just because, again, the thing that called to me was the eyeshadow palette mostly because of the slide kind of box. And I was super into it because of the reds, but then you have half of it is cool tone gray colors that don't suit me. But yeah, I was super chuffed to see this, and I had to mention, I think they still have this and they are restocking once in a while. So if you want to, look into it. Then Pat McGrath, the brand, not the person, who doesn't seem to have much to do with the brand anymore, and it's come out that she's becoming the creative director of Louis Vuitton. is it? They're coming out with beauty and she's taking over that. So that's how much he has to do with Pat McGrath Labs, her own namesake brand. Why do they do this, of creating a brand with their names if they're not planning on sticking around? I will never. Anyway, a while ago they came out with the, what is it? The glass skin artistry mask. Pat McGrath did that Mise au Margiela makeup with the glass skin. How long ago? A good while ago. People were duping that glassy effect with even hair gel, and it was working. And then the fad went away because it was cool, but it's not wearable for every day. And then months and months and months later, they come out with this mask, which is, listen, what are you going to do with this? Okay, it's a face mask for your skin and you peel it off. Cool. K-Beauty, J-Beauty have this in spades. So I don't understand. Anyway, I had the hope of this being able to be used in a more lightweight fashion on your skin, and then it would become kind of a locked-in high glow highlighter. Very glossy looking, but that would blend in the edges and then would lock in. No, it's just if you move your face, it starts to come off. So, don't understand. We'll talk about Pat McGrath later on, but that's it. rom&nd, again, they still haven't released, at least on YesStyle, those tinted gloss sticks, which I'm so interested in, but I haven't seen them anyway yet. And then they're coming out with, do they have, oh, they don't have it in English, but it's a blurring formula of a liquid lipstick that comes in a tube. And the color selection, my friends, K-Beauty, J-Beauty, C-Beauty, have some of the most beautiful and flattering lip and cheek colors. I said what I said. And these are beautiful. Of course, you have to take into account that the model probably has very good lips and then it's all blurred out in Photoshop, but the colors and that kind of blurring effect that I mentioned a while ago, this is it. So I'm very interested. I'll be tracking YesStyle with eager eyes, but this was announced in January and we're in March, so I don't know. The other product was announced months and months and months ago and it's still not there. I don't know how that goes. Sad. Anyway, another Cosmic Brushes or Cosmic Beauty launch was for Valentine's Day. Again, beautiful color story. They get me with their color stories and I can even dig the greens. What is wrong with me? I don't know. It's beautiful. It was the... Sorry. Anyway, I hope you can hear me properly, and this is the Lovers, a Valentine's color with a twist. This palette looks beautiful. Again, didn't pick it up, but I had to mention it because it's gorgeous. Sephora came out with several things, or is coming out with several things in the US Sephora collection, but I don't know which ones of them are coming to Europe. These are available in Europe. I want to give them a peek. These are the colorful blush glazes and these look really nice and sheeny on the skin. I love a sheeny blush if you can't tell. So, and especially if it's in a powder form, it's very difficult to make. Singe Beauty has some of the best. I love those sheeny luminous blushes that don't look, you know, textured on the skin. I'm curious to swatch this formula in store at Sephora. Beauty of Joseon created the Daily Tinted Fluid Sunscreen with, it's a mineral tinted sunscreen that subtly enhances skin, smooths and hydrates, yada, yada, yada. It's 20% zinc oxide, which is great for blue light, which is annoying for melasma. The blue light from the sun, not the blue light from screens. Anyway, but I was very curious about this just to use on top of my normal sunscreen because I know that tinted sunscreens usually you can't use the correct amount of sunscreen or you will look like a molten candle. And They actually have a nicer array of colors. How many are there? 12. They say it's flexible shades, which leads me to believe that this has a bit of leeway and they're not very opaque, although it's a totally mineral sunscreen. So I don't know how that works. I was curious. But I haven't seen this on YesStyle, and I don't know if this wasn't created just for the US market, which if it has, I hate being excluded. Then Charlotte Tilbury came out with this kind of Claire's meets Colourpop in Target packaging for her new 9-pan eyeshadow palettes. And from what I've seen from the reviews, the palettes themselves are not that good. The quality is a bit hit and miss. Some are really good, some are not that impressive. $60 limited edition. I was intrigued by Digital Lilac. It seems like a very pretty palette with very interesting shades. And again, a lavender, a bright pastel lavender. But then I saw people using this and I was kind of like, yeah, no, never mind. Milk came out again with a Hydrop Grip Gel Tint. Wow. Longwear Clean. Wow. Non-comedogenic 12-hour hydrating gel skin tint packed with triple powered hyaluronic acid for buildable light coverage and the natural dewy finish. Won't fade, crease, or settle into lines. I was really confused and interested in this because of these claims. I've seen people hating this. I've seen people loving it. I haven't seen, I think, people with oily skin talking about it. So I still have to, maybe it's at Sephora and I can go and test it out. Maybe, I don't know. Now, this is something I really want to try because, again, Angelica Nyqvist really raves about these and we have kind of the same preferences for most, you know, foundation type products. The Colourpop Pretty Fresh Foundation Balm Sticks. These look amazing. I love, again, stick foundations, skin tints in a stick. Sounds amazing. I love the Fenty one. And I am really curious to try these. Again, Colourpop has one of those shade selections that may be a bit too oversaturated in the undertone. But if I make a purchase from Colourpop, which always entails customs, so I'm always giving up on that. If I end up doing that, I will pick up one of these. It says it's perfect for lightweight on-the-go looks to create a blurred second skin finish. 18 light to medium coverage shades are designed to work on a range of skin tones, whether you lean more warm, neutral, cool, or somewhere in between. I don't know, these sound really cool, and again, they will be affordable, a bit like the Milani. None of those. Accessible in Europe. Annoying. Accessible in Europe, we have Danessa Myricks coming out with Blurring Balm Powder in a luminous finish, which sounds super interesting. It is still meant for oil control. It just looks more dewy. So if you have very dry skin, if you don't like the Blurring Balm Powder, you'll probably don't like that one. But I was very curious because I like having a dewy finish. I just don't want to have my face sticky. Is it so hard to ask? And I like to control the oils in some areas. So that sounded amazing. And then she came out with a shade extension to the Yummy Skin Blurring Balm Powder Flush, which are the blushes. And some of these shades, again, these more neutral shades remind me so much of some K-Beauty and J-Beauty blushes. And then you have this strong purple. Ah, these are so... Spiced Latte is gorgeous, and which is the other one? The other one is Creme Brulee, is more orangey. Spiced Latte is the color. You know my obsession with beigey, greygy to pink eyeshadows? Yeah. I really like the Blurring Balm Powder Flushed formula for blushes. So I'm really interested in these when it is on sale here at Kitchen Makeup, which is a Portuguese store that retails them. I will definitely buy them. Now, high praises for this color story in this palette. It is a collab between Udenzai, one of my all-time favorite indie brands, and Morgan Turner, an influencer whose opinions I actually respect a lot also, and I really like her, and again, the persona that she presents. And it's so pretty, so many purples, bright pinks. She wasn't afraid of color. She's giving beautiful, beautiful, beautiful color story. You still have a couple of browns to break it down and make it more toned down and to kind of go a bit more nudie if you want to. But yeah, I'm so impressed with this color story. Super impressed. Didn't buy it. Was a good girl. That doesn't mean I don't want it. Then this was nice to see, although I'm not the biggest fan of Tarte. This is the Big Stick? No, is it called Big Stick? It's their stick concealer. And if you know me, I love stick concealers. I've been mourning the loss of the Marc Jacobs stick concealer for how many years it's been out of business. It says a buttery smooth formula. That's all I can take from just going in for a bit into their Instagram. I'm really curious. I'm not the biggest fan of Tarte, but if I like this product and if I have a good shade match and if I see that the shade range is acceptable because it's Tarte, let's not forget, I'll give it a try. Now, I was so excited about these and then I noticed a problem. Again, Urban Decay, which is not sold in Portugal, coming out with the Glaze On Shadow. Glazed being the name. Liquid eyeshadow. This sounded amazing. And I love the Moon Dust. I think they're fantastic. They should have a whole range of that formula. It's coming soon, or maybe it's been released, I don't know. It looks amazing. They have a Space Cowboy, which is always nice, and they have a red. Oh, it looks beautiful. And I was super excited until I noticed in the video that the applicator is a brush. If you push the brush through in and out from any kind of stopper, it will probably fray, right? Maybe it's a bit of a spongy applicator, but it looks like a brush. I hope that's it, because if it's a brush applicator, disappoint, disappoint. You can always take it out onto the back of your hand and apply it with another brush, or your fingers, but I don't like that. Also, they're coming out with some stick eyeshadows. Some are mattes, some are more shimmery. These look really nice. Yeah, it's kind of a nudie beige to brown kind of basics collection of stick eyeshadows. Interesting, not as interesting as the Glaze. Mother Pat came out with, finally, the Mothership 12 Petal Morphosis. The Mother Pat stans was super happy because they've been mourning the fact that last year there wasn't a Mothership launch. So happy for you if you are a Pat McGrath huge fan. What do I have to say about this? I follow a couple of influencers who do love and became sort of experts in Pat McGrath because they have all the palettes and all that. And sorry, Pat McGrath is quite expensive. So if the color story doesn't sing to me, I wouldn't even consider buying one of these, although they have great sales, don't get me wrong, once in a while. But I usually go and see those influencers first, especially to see the shade swatches, because it's never what's on the website. I don't know why, but anyway. And there is a bit of hesitant positivity regarding this palette because they have changed the Astral and Blitz kind of baked eyeshadows. They don't do them anymore, or it seems they don't. They haven't explained why. But they've replaced them with something with the same name, Blitz and Astral shades, but they're not baked. They're different formulas. And people were concerned. which is legitimate. Because let's be honest, the mattes may be amazing and whatever, but people buy these for the blitzes and the astrals, right? Those are the special shades. And then they try them. And what they say is, you can go have a look on Alicia Archer's YouTube and Morgan Turner. They both did reviews on this palette with very nice, dense information. They say that on one hand, they seem to not be as shiny, and most of the shades cannot be used as toppers as the old baked versions used to be, because they were more, you know, fine, not fine, but scattered in a way. They were not as opaque. These are more opaque overall, which depends on what you like. Some of the shades feel a bit more creamy in a way and not as flaky, which is a good thing, because from my experience with the two Pat McGrath eyeshadow palettes that I have, the blitzes and the astrals and the specials shades have loads of fallout. And yes, you can faff around with primer and work around it by applying your eyeshadow first. Cool. But the higher the price, the lower my threshold for having to faff around with stuff. That's my opinion on expensive makeup and luxury makeup. So the packaging doesn't compensate for having to faff around with a product. So that's good news. So I don't know. When it comes to this specific palette, the color story isn't there for me. It has potential, in my opinion, but the very deep matte green and then the very turquoisey, bold emerald green are not for me. And I would need a dark plummy brown to darken my lilacs, because green to darken those colors feels a bit weird. Although it does work, but it looks green. I don't want the green. And then I'm missing the goddamn lavender, pastel lavender, in a very high quality $170 something value of quality eyeshadow. I need a pastel lavender here. What are we talking about? So yeah, some of these shades look really nice, and if it didn't have those two greens, I would consider waiting for a sale and getting it. I'm not gonna lie. But having those two very bold greens, the olive, which they call chartreuse, but again, in the picture it looks chartreuse. In real life, it's an olive. Why do they do this? Anyway, they are not reliable with swatches anywhere on their website or on their Instagram. Go outsource your swatches. But anyway, I can deal with a chartreuse and I can deal with an olive green. I cannot deal with these very bright greens. And when it's, I don't know, it's a 10 shade palette, so it would be 20% of this eyeshadow palette I wouldn't be using. So not for me, no, thank you. Now, friends in the US and friends in the UK, because this brand also only discriminates the EU. Can you get me some Merit lip liners? These look amazing. These look so nice. The colors of these lip liners, again, very reminiscent of K-Beauty and J-Beauty. Very desaturated, powdery, dusty colors that look absolutely stunning. I'm super interested in several of these shades, and Merit doesn't ship to the EU. I don't know, they just want to miss out on this beautiful market. I was interested. I don't usually mention brands that are not sold in Europe, but this one I'm so spiteful about. I really wanted to get it, and there is no retailer that I can get it through. And when they opened in the UK, I thought, well, they will ship online here, right? No, UK only. And then they went to UK Sephora and they stay there, but the UK Sephora also doesn't ship to the EU. This is weird. I don't like it. I'm very interested in these colors of lip liners. I love desaturated greyish colors, browny with a bit, you know, of that grey in, a bit of purple maybe. I love those colors, and these look fantastic. And these are slightly sheer, balmy, and slightly shiny, which is so interesting for a lip liner. I don't think they will work as a lip liner for me. I think they will work as an all-over lip color, I think. NYX, the Buttermelt highlighters are out. They have such beautiful colors. If I pass by a store that has these, I will try to swatch them and see how I like them. They have a green that I'm very interested in, this high shine pink. They have some really interesting colors that I'm curious about. And they have also lavender. Again, Pat McGrath has left the Pat McGrath Labs chat a while ago, and this is more than proof if you needed more. They repackaged, I think, some products they already had in their collection, a la Star Wars, and they repackaged it in a white and red stripe thing, and they called it Candy Crush Collab with Pat McGrath Labs. Make it make sense, please. This could be a holiday launch, and without the Candy Crush, just the packaging looks holiday, doesn't it? And then the shades, this is so forgettable. The investment they had to make in buying the licensing for the IP, and then the repackaging of the products, even if these are just products already in their line. For such a forgettable moment, a couple of glosses, a couple of lipsticks, a couple of nail polishes. The Ordinary is re-releasing their serum foundation, or has re-released their serum foundation. I was here in 2017 on YouTube doing videos, and I think I tried this one on a video when it launched the first time. It's nice to see a $7.50 foundation coming out. There aren't many of those, and they are daily necessary to keep our sanity. And yeah, and they have yellow undertones, pink undertones, red undertones, and neutral undertones, which is really nice. 36 shades. I don't know. I would have to buy this again and try it again, because I don't know how my skin would deal with it nowadays. It's been way back in the Wayback Machine. But it's so interesting to see it coming back. I hope they are successful with it, because we all deserve affordable, nice products. I've already mentioned that Pat McGrath moved on to Louis Vuitton La Beauté. It's called La Beauté Louis Vuitton. It's, I think, the name of the thing, of the beauty segment in the brand. They will release a line of color cosmetics with Pat McGrath as creative director. First launch will include 55 lipsticks, 10 nourishing lip balms, and 8 eye palettes. I think this is where you will see Pat McGrath's actual vision and creativity. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's all nudes and neutrals. But I think she just left her own namesake brand and moved on to these pastures. I'm curious to see. It will probably be out of my price range again as Pat McGrath Beauty, but Pat McGrath Labs does have nice sales. I got the only palette that I bought from them, I got it at 70 euros or something, which I would agree is worth it. Not above that. But yeah, I will probably be missing out on this because it will probably be too expensive. I cannot tell you how much I love the Louis Vuitton big travel cases with the drawers and the pull-out thingies, and I've always loved this object. Even before I knew brands, I had a fascination for this kind of wardrobe on the go kind of object. And I love this picture of her with the new version for her makeup alongside the other ones. This is, if I had this in my house, first I would be detached from reality, of course. That would be the only way of me having this. And secondly, I would be a very happy person because I would be detached from reality. Anyway, moving on, let's not talk about it. This release from NYX, I found it cool and fun. The Minecraft collab. The other things is kind of meh, the mirror and the lip products, but the little blocks with the cream products that you just rub on your cheeks. This is genius. This is very well applied to the context of Minecraft. I never played Minecraft, but mad respect. And this makes sense. NYX and Minecraft, like NYX and Candy Crush, would make sense. I thought this was cute. I have no idea if these products are good or bad or just glycerin with a bit of pigment in there. I have no idea. But they look quite pigmented. The blushes look quite pigmented. And the highlighters look really nice. And again, if I see it in store, I will stick my finger in it. Now, this, I was kind of like, first, wow, they finally have a shade range of bronzers. Because Benefit came out with the Hoola bronzers. And I was kind of like, finally, Benefit. It's 2025. For how long have you had Hoola? And you had 2 shades for white people. And then I realized these are bronzing balms. My God, they've innovated so much that they have 5 shades of bronzer and they're a bronzing balm. So 5 years ago, caught up to them and they're finally releasing this. This makes sense to Benefit, but I don't know if many people remember Hoola even, because it was a reference when beauty YouTube first started. It was Hoola or Laguna. Either or. And then there was an NYC bronzer and little else. But Hoola was a standout icon and I loved that bronzer for a long time. But then it just faded away. I don't know. It's probably extremely expensive for what it is. I don't have the price description here, but it comes in 5 shades. Original, light, medium, medium deep, and deep. Sephora collection also has, again, this I don't know, that will be, if it will be released in Europe or all at the same time. They came out with sponge tip applicator liquid blushes in at least 6 shades that sound really nice. These weird translucent stick blushes that pH adjusting stuff, they just become pink. For the cheeks also, they have blush palette, which sounds interesting, in 4 colors. They have a cream and then two blushes. One of them is luminous. This sounds really interesting, this trio of blushes. Really interesting, to be honest. And this mauvey color here, I'm loving you. And then what else do they have? Now they're announcing the blushes, the glowy blushes that I mentioned previously. They're selling in the US now. Lip liners, the shade range seems a bit classic pinky, peaches, reds and browns, but nothing too desaturated gray for me. So yeah. Oh, and lip tints, the totally juicy lip tints. These are interesting, my friends. Super interesting. Several colors. Mocha Crush sounds amazing. I'm very interested, again, in trying out cheap, affordable lip tints to see how they compare. And then Mop Beauty, which I mentioned just a while ago, is introducing their Blurring Blot Balm and Primer. It's a transparent balm that blots your skin, and it's a balm. Texture and pores are blurred. Billions of micro sponges work to absorb shine, invisible across all skin tones. So it's one invisible balm. After testing with our pro artist community for 5 months, we're officially launching. Nice, they've tested it with makeup artists. Blurs texture and mattifies, extends wear of makeup, minimizes creasing and feathering, and decreases breakthrough shine. It doesn't say what it has in the formula. It's probably not Oopsalite, but it's interesting. It's kind of the same concept as the Denesamyrix Blurring Balm Powder, but it comes in that little more portable kind of square pan that you can put in their kind of palettes or can bring with yourself. I would be interested in comparing it with the Blurring Balm from Denesamyrix, the translucent one. Curious. And then Huda is coming out with the Easy Bake setting spray. Thank you, Huda. I will try it because I'm sick and tired of the milk setting spray. It's my all-time favorite setting spray. It locks in makeup. It's the one that keeps my oils at bay for the longest, but the nozzle clogs after a while and it's really annoying. It's so annoying. The product must build up inside the nozzle because I keep it clean from the outside as best as I can, but it probably clogs up from the inside, and there's nothing I can do, and it spits in my face from that moment on. It's super unpleasant. So I'm very interested to try the Easy Bake setting spray. 16-hour ultra blurred makeup. Yes, please. Controls shine with rice starch and mineral clay. Hydrates with five forms of hyaluronic acid. Locks makeup for 16 hours. It's alcohol and fragrance free, which is nice. They are sometimes they are irritants for some people, so it's more inclusive that way. Finally, 2 blush releases, 2 duos actually. The first one is from rom&nd Atelier. These are powder blushes. These are called the Face Powder Duos. Baby Cheeks powder blush duos. And I like what I have from rom&nd Atelier. 99% of what I have was not purchased by me, was sent to me by a subscriber who didn't like their stuff, and I fell in love with them. But I really like their cream formulations. I'm not that curious about their powder formula. It's just kind of powder blushes in good quality abound at affordable prices or less extortionate prices than rom&nd Atelier. So this is not ringing a bell for me. But at the same time, I like some of the colors that they have here, which I think most of them are replicating their creams. But these are duos, and I'm kind of like Ma'am Gucci Westman. I want to choose my blush and my contour or bronzer or whatever, or I want to choose 2 blush colors. Why can't I choose? Why? Let me choose, please. And finally, Charlotte Tilbury. I want to have something good to say about this brand. I can never, except for a couple of basic things. The highlighter is nice. The Pillow Talk medium lip liner is very nice. It's fine. It's fine. The powder is nice. That's it. And then she's coming out with Pillow Talk, additions to the Pillow Talk family, because we needed that. Pillow Talk Soulmates Face Palette, a heart-shaped blush and highlighter palette in Peach Soulmate and Pink Soulmate, I guess. Then you have the Kissing lipstick in Love Talk and Kiss Talk, and the Matte Revolution lipstick in Dream Talk and Naughty Talk. So these are new duos. You have a pink blush and a highlighter, or a more corally, peachy blush and a highlighter. And then you have 4 shades of pink to berry. I don't understand how this brand gets so much hype. I'm being so honest here. So honest. Some products have good quality, don't get me wrong. But the amount of hype every time this brand releases something, and I look at the stuff and I'm just, look at these compacts. These look like Sailor Moon compacts. If this was a Sailor Moon collab, I wouldn't bat an eye. I would believe you. And I know these will feel empty and plasticky. If these are metal, I'll eat my words. But more likely than not, they will be plasticky. And they will start to be scratchy. I don't understand. And the lids also have this purple heart, but nothing is purple in the collection. Why? Why? If you like or love, adore her products, please let me know in the comments below, because I'm so curious. What is it? What is it? Because the packaging is cheap and the products are just fine. Just fine. I talked for so long that my gloss was gone. Anyway, I just reapplied my gloss to thank you for being there. If you still are there, leave me a purple heart emoji just so that I can thank you in person, you know, because you deserve all my thanks. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Leave your comments down below about the products that you find interesting, the products that you don't. We don't need to fight. This is just makeup. There are enough fights in the world already. We can agree to disagree in this instance, not in all instances. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, leave me a like, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, thank you for spending your time on me, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye!